That kind of questioned my confidence a little bit, but then we got on the mat and then I had my fun with them.
Awesome. Should we kick off?
Yeah, can,
Yeah? Scott?
yeah. Scott Felstead, Muscle Fitness, great to see you again. Thanks for coming back to the UK. This is obviously a really important issue because we see athletes and wrestlers on TV, and you guys aren't born in a lab. You know, you're not created. You come from different backgrounds, different amounts of finances behind you, and sporting equipment's hard to come by. How important is it to encourage kids to do sports in challenging environments? And also, can I ask you if you've got a mentor you can think of who maybe inspired you to do sports?
Well, for me, encouraging kids to get into sports is everything to me. I mean, I played sports since I can remember. It was a huge part of my childhood, and I've met some of my lifetime best friends in sports. But, you know, just being in sports, it just gives you such a great skill set in life, regardless if you're doing professional sports or not. It gives you great leadership skills, and it teaches you hard work, determination, tenacity. You know, I grew up wanting to be an Olympic track athlete or gymnast, and I'm neither of those. But because I was in sports, it helped me get through college, it helped me get through early adulthood, and it's really contributed to my success here in WWE. So, you know, just encouraging kids to get into sports and be active and give them an outlet and be able to, you know, get skills that they can use in life and be able to meet people and experience new cultures and travel. That's what this is all about, and it really teaches them great lessons.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Montez, is there anyone you can think of who maybe gave you the impetus to go out there and try and reach your potential?
So on a personal level, of individual I've dealt with, I would say my high school track coach, Coach Wall. Just because like he's always like instilled in me to like just keep going. Like I think track was one of the first sports I did that really like put a lot of stress on my body, especially at a young age. And he's just one of the individuals that at a very young age like helped me coach and to just keep going, being determined. Always trying to like outdo myself because in track like it's all about seconds and milliseconds, and really you have zero room for error. So he was one of the first individuals that taught me like how to put zero error into your training, your mindset, because in order for you to perform at a high level, your mind has to be clear. So he's one of the first people that taught me that. And on a global, worldwide scale, I would say Muhammad Ali has always been one of the, like, I guess, external mentors or father figures that I've seen just in professional sports, and the way he carried himself and how he sold himself and what he stood for at such a very harsh time, and how he was able to still become the best physical specimen while handling all these adversities and things he had to handle with at his time. So I look at stuff like that, looking at how individuals handled and stayed in tip-top shape, and the number one person at the time with everything they handled, and I'll say those two.
Yeah,
Without running them out too much.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Angelo as well, there's the mental health side of it. You know, kids stop exercising, they're maybe not able to let out their frustrations and their emotions. How important is it to keep doing active things even as you get older?
Man, this is important. It played a big part for me. I played football pretty much my whole life. I didn't start wrestling until my junior year of high school, so I have to give credit to that, to my coach, Ron Masonic, RIP. Without him, I'm probably not here having this conversation. I never meet these guys. So like, if I never stepped foot on the wrestling mat in high school, I'm not in the position that I'm in right now. But yeah, like I have to give it to him because it just, so, like, stepping on the wrestling mat was like the best thing that ever happened to me from a discipline standpoint, and a mental, like my mental health was just like way better because I was a bit of a hothead before I even touched on the wrestling mat, and then it just kind of calmed me down a little bit. And I let out a lot of frustrations in football, but wrestling, it was like, it's only you out there on the mat, so like, you know, if you got some frustrations to let out, now's the time to really, really do it. But nah, it kept me, kept my head straight, and he's always kept my head straight, and that's what I gotta give my credit to.
And just to piggyback off of what I was saying, it's a common thread. Like we've all like participated in sports growing up, And I feel like it contributed a lot to even us possibly even staying out of trouble as well. The more active these kids are, the more physical they are, and they participate in sports, it stops them from participating in other things that could eventually end up getting them in trouble, or anything else that they shouldn't be doing. But I feel like our parents did that for us. I feel like it's a major and a big factor of what should be happening now. Not saying it will fix everything, but it could eliminate a lot of possible other things that they can get their mind wandered off to just because they're not participating in sports or any extracurricular activities. We have rec centers for individuals that couldn't make the basketball team, they couldn't make the varsity team, they couldn't make the junior varsity team. They had Boys and Girls Clubs where they can go play intramurals and have tournaments still without no tryout. So just staying active with other sports and not just saying no for one answer. I mean, we always hear the common story how Michael Jordan got turned down by his high school basketball coach, and now he's looked at as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Second.
Yeah,
LeBron James is first.
Awesome.
That's awesome, thank you.
And Alistair?
Yeah, Alistair from Metro.co.uk. Sticking with mental health, I know, Bianca, you've been very honest and open about everything you've been through. How do you kind of balance, or how important is it to balance being vulnerable to sort of inspire and help fans, but also still being mindful of your own mental health and not getting too bogged down in that?
Me really being vulnerable and opening up about it actually was very therapeutic for me. And I feel like it was a lot easier for me at the time when I decided to open up about it, because I felt like, I wasn't necessarily going through it. I had gone through it. And it never ends. It's always a marathon. It's a journey. You just figure out what your triggers are. But I'm blessed to be surrounded by amazing individuals and an amazing support system. But for me, I just knew that when I was going through my mental health issues, when I was in the thick of it, I needed someone that I could relate to and let me know that, hey, there is another side to it. And so I really wanted to just be vulnerable and open up and give someone what I needed when I was going through it during that time. And in the process, it's therapeutic for me, and it helps me stay on the right track too.
Yeah. You said the support system as well for you guys. How important is it for the three of you having that bond in what I can imagine can sometimes be a fairly lonely business with the travel?
It's a very interesting car ride. But it's I would say I'm very, very lucky. I say I'm the luckiest out of all three of them, because I have my partner in life and also I have my partner in crime beside me at all times. And I'm just very fortunate to be in a position where I can not only go through these successes, these peaks and valleys with them, but they're also the first ones that I'm venting to whenever this stuff is going on, and they know me more than anybody else in this world because they're with me all the time. So it's always good to let those emotions out and have them kind of bring you to reason sometimes. Because sometimes I could be wrong, and they're always good there to bring another insight. I have my insight, theirs, and then also hers as well. So it's always good to see a bird's eye view or a different point of view from someone else that's going through the same thing or share the same common interests or peaks and valleys as you do. So
I mean, like what we were talking about with the kids earlier about feelings, and it's okay to have feelings and no one can tell you how you're supposed to feel, right? But you have to know how to manage and understand those emotions and feelings. And so we allow each other to vent, we validate each other's feelings, but then we're like, okay, but we can't stay here. So how do we get you out of this rut? And where do we go from there? What is the perspective? And we're really just the car rides, and we just lean on each other for emotional support.
very strict, very hard with each other, but I mean, it's so what it says, tough love.
Tough love
you know,
sometimes.
So,
When it's needed.
yeah.
Great. And Danny?
Yeah, Danny from the Daily Star. You gave some really important messages to the kids downstairs, but of course you want them to be invested in WWE and what you're doing, and you settle things in the ring. So I'm wondering how you manage that balance with the kids between, you don't want them to punch each other or physically abuse each other, but in the end that's how sometimes you guys settle things. How do you manage that dichotomy, that balance when you're talking to the kids?
It's competition.
So, I guess the true answer is, what is the name of this glorious company, World Wrestling Entertainers? I think these young kids know that when these situations come down, they're not going to settle down to the violence of the heroes do. You know, watch Batman or Superman and see him completely take off Thanos' head and say, well, you know what, that's how I'm going to handle my situation. No, you just go like, you know what, that's great entertainment, that's what we are, we're entertainers, but in the same line, like, you see us here in front of them and taking time out from, you know, landing an hour ago and coming straight here because this is what we want to do, and teaching them like, hey, we may be in the ring throwing it down, trying to, you know, win world titles, but at the end of the day, we're entertainers and we're trying to show them the message of you can aspire to be greater, you know. Like I said, you don't watch Thanos and Batman, I think that this is how it's going to, you know, even though they're not as powerful as us. So, but,
Yeah, and I think too, like, there's always an underlying message in what we do. You know, I think it was a perfect example of what Becky Lynch and I went through with our feud. Yes, we get in the ring and we might fight it out, but the underlying message is, you know, we might not get along sometimes, but we brought it all the way back around full circle where at the end we're now shaking hands and we're hugging. It's all about empowerment now. So there's always a great underlying message, and I think that's what's amazing about WWE is the storylines that go along with it. And you have, you know, the protagonist that always is trying to fight for the right thing, and those are the messages that we really want to connect with our fans and the kids.
but sometimes you might have to get one right in it. No, I'm just
I mean, we deal with bullies in the ring, and, you know, those are the messages that we really want to stick with the kids, is to, you know, stand up for yourself, but also to, like, don't be a bully, and, you know, you always want the hero to come out on top.
defend yourself when needed. You know, we don't really go out picking fights, but we defend ourselves when needed. That's the answer to your question. If I got to defend myself, I'm throwing them hands.
I think we've got time for a couple more. Let's go.
Don from Soundsfair, guys. Today's been about confidence and boosting confidence of young people. If all three of you could take me back to an instance where, because most people think you guys are super confident, obviously you're out there, you know, broadcasting to the world. Can you take me back to an instance where you guys have struggled with confidence and how you overcame that?
I feel like I've talked a lot, so let's go first.
Oh, me? So, wrestle, amateur wrestling, facial hair grows out a little bit long. You got to shave. So, never had that problem before. And then I'm a junior in high school, so I've never had to shave. So you're in the weigh-in line, they check our nails and stuff, and the rep's like, hey, bro, you got to go shave. Never shaved one day in my life. So I go up to my wrestling coach, I'm like, hey, they said I got to shave. And I don't know how to shave. And I handed him the razor, he just looks at me and stopped. So, like, I wrestled 215, and a bunch of the dudes that I was wrestling was, like, making fun of me because, like, I never shaved before. You call yourself a man, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. That kind of questioned my confidence a little bit, but then we got on the mat, and then I had my fun with them. And I won first, so that was like one of the times I can honestly say, like, that was like one of the major ones for me.
I'm going to be honest. There's not one time in my life I felt like I wasn't confident. Not one time. I think from very young age, my mom instilled in me because it was times I didn't listen. Maybe little times I got too confident. But she always made me be very overzealous and very extra. She said, always do extra, always be extra. So like now, even today, the way I dress, the way I talk, the way I act, my demeanor, everything's extra. And there are times where, like, we were talking about with the kids earlier, when we get cyberbullied, and I remember when I first got into the business, I didn't really understand how to get validation from here. So my first thing I would do was I'd go online and see what everybody was saying about me. And then I started going like, I don't want to see what everybody's saying about me, because it started making me second guess my actions, the way I talk, the way I was presenting myself, like something was wrong. Like I would like what I was doing, but once I got online, I didn't like it as much anymore. And I realized I'm going backwards on everything my mom taught me. So there was a time, which was when I went online, but I think my whole life I've always been taught just to be extra. You know, one time I felt myself slipping back to the cracks is when I just started getting access to everyone, there's opinions towards me. So Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I think that's all we have time for today, but plenty more opportunities.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all.